That's incredible, really, just to think that that's where that journey started. And I also love that, Linda, you said that you didn't necessarily have the confidence either, and so the two of you almost went on a bit of a confidence journey together.
Absolutely. I was working at that time as a therapist and understanding what makes people tick and people's struggles and the inner world of people. But I'd never really thought of applying that to the dogs.
Welcome to the absoluteDOGS Sexier and Squirrel podcast. I'm Lauren Langman. I'm one of the world's leading dog trainers, and it's my mission to help owners become their dog's top priority. In each episode, you'll discover how to gain trust and communicate with your dog like never before, creating unbreakable bonds that make you the most exciting part of their world.
Hello and welcome to the Sexier and Squirrel podcast, the podcast that gives you real life dog training and sometimes human training results too. Today, I'm joined by the wonderful Linda. Linda is an amazing instructor. Linda instructs obedience and so many other forms of dog training. And today we're going to be talking, I think this is a really great topic, imposter syndrome and how you came about absoluteDOGS. Linda, tell us a little bit more. Welcome here.
So hello, everybody. I will try not to be a school mom today.
So I love you as a school mom.
Let me tell you about absoluteDOGS. So I had a dog. I've been in obedience for a while and had ticket dogs. So the dogs that work at the very top level in obedience as championship level. And then I got a new dog, and I was struggling because she lacked confidence, but I didn't know it as lacking confidence at that time. I called it, she's a bit spooky, she can't concentrate, those sorts of general labels you put on a dog that struggles to perform. And I happened to be browsing YouTube, and this fresh-faced young lady popped up on the screen, somewhere in what looked like a farmyard, with a border collie puppy and a whippet, so a toy on a whip. And she was very eloquently describing how you draw confidence and drive out of this collie puppy by using this toy. And I thought I'd rather like this person. And she took in a lot of sense to me. And so I looked into it further, and I discovered Devon Dogs, absoluteDOGS, the Lauren Langman empire. And then I found out that she did workshops. And one of those workshops was entitled Confidence. So I thought, oh, that's just what Kelty needs, is confidence. She was about a year old at this point. So I booked on the course, and when people hear me and see me teaching, they don't realise I actually don't have a lot of confidence. And it involved me having to book a hotel and stay away from home with my dog for a night. And it all turned into this sort of big event. But I turned up at the confidence workshop the next day, too early for anybody, because I learn now that if you're going to do anything with absoluteDOGS, you must be absolutely on time. You do not turn up early. So I turned up early. There was nobody there. I thought I was in the wrong place. Anyway, I finally got into this workshop, which was led by a lovely lady who put out balance paths and put out confidence circuits and talked a lot of sense about building qualities in a dog that helped it to be the dog that you want it to be. And I was hooked from then on. So everything that absoluteDOGS did after that, I was in. I was on board. I did camps down at the caravan park. I followed every course that you did. I was in on the first Spring into Transformation course. So Kelty grew and grew and grew in confidence. She was a beautiful, beautiful dog. I've just recently lost her. But that's the downside of dog ownership, is we have to say goodbye too early. but she went on to win a reserve ticket. We never quite got a ticket because COVID got in the way. We never got our
Such a shame. It took out some of the best opportunities for beautiful, and I'm so sorry with lovely Kelty. And she was a beautiful dog, and I was very, very grateful to have got to work her and had the opportunity to play with her. And she was a sweetheart. And actually, I think you brought out the best in her, knowing that she was a dog that potentially, you may never put dogs like that under pressure.
No.
You may never even get to put them under pressure, because they really have to trust you, because they don't do it for the sake of doing it. These aren't dogs that do it for the sake of doing it. They do it for the relationship, and they do it with you, and they do it as a partnership. You have other dogs, Sensi, who does it for Sensi, right? Sensi's all in. For Sensi's, like, off she goes, isn't she? She struts it in a completely different way, and she's all in for Sensi. Whereas I think you do get those dogs like Kelty and Ola, who the relationship with you matters. So relationship with you matters. And I think the confidence in dogs like that. And I love that actually that says, really, doesn't it, that it was 11 or 12. How many years ago would that have been? That would have been a while back.
About 11 years ago.
Yeah, which is incredible. That's incredible, really, just to think that that's where that journey started. And I also love that, Linda, you said that you didn't necessarily have the confidence either. And so the two of you almost went on a bit of a confidence journey together.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had to really confront myself and, all of the cliches of pulling on my big girl pants and standing up and talking about what I believe in, when I would rather be training my dogs in the corner on my own, that sort of thing. So it's been a big growth for me as well, and a big learning curve for me. I was working at that time as a therapist, and understanding what makes people tick and people's struggles and the inner world of people. But I'd never really thought of applying that to the dogs. And here we are now talking about dogs as sentient beings who have personalities and who have traits in them that we need to build or manage or whatever. So it was sort of like, everything aligned, the planets all aligned, and it's been an incredible journey for all of us, really.
Isn't the universe magic like that, right? Like, isn't the universe magic? Like, the universe is one magic thing, how it puts things together and allows you the opportunities to do all these magical things that it's just magic. It really is magic. And I'm thinking now, I've just had the vet here, actually. We're traveling to Spain soon, and my dogs needed a rabies injection. And so I asked the vet to come to the house for exactly that reason, because I don't think they're always the most confident in a space outside of home. And actually, to have her come here, we were vaccinating 4 dogs. So we were doing 4 dogs for rabies. And I think it's really interesting to see how well they sort of managed at home against how they would manage in the vets, taking all 4 of them into the vets for an experience that I can't always predict, and they don't go to the vets frequently. And so for me, it's understanding how to advocate as well. I think that comes into it. And now I want to chat just quickly on imposter syndrome, really, because how you found Absolute Dogs, I love. Like, I love that. I love that you were just browsing on YouTube and it's a chance find, and you see this video and you like it and you kind of go, that's what I want to do. And then you get here, like, that's magic. But how about imposter syndrome? Because you're competing at top level and you're able to compete at top level, and yet people won't believe it when they hear that you might get imposter syndrome. Explain what imposter syndrome means to you. It means to you as a person, but also means as a therapist. And then equally explain how it's affected you and how you've overcome it a little, Linda.
Okay. So I'll give you a potted version of my my life, really. But I was traumatized from the day I was born, really. So I was abandoned when I was born and went into care. So I'm not looking for sympathy here, but so that because we now understand that children who are traumatized as their brains are developing, and we're back to the same as the way we talk about shaping a dog's brain, this is shaping a child's brain. My brain was affected in my upbringing, so that I got into adulthood with very little self-belief. But I was very good at putting on a front. So, and because I had, a highly intelligent, I was able to go out into the world and be quite clever at how I operated, but it was all done as a front. So I was in sales and marketing. Everybody would have thought I was very successful, but behind the mask, I was quite unwell a lot of the time. And so in my early adult life, I had to come to terms with who I really was, the person that I really was, rather than the masks that I put on in order to survive. And that's what took me into being a therapist. But even all of that learning, it didn't always replace my self-belief, my inner strength. And that's taken me another 30 years of my life to build. And it isn't always there even now. So I suppose what I'm saying is when we meet people, it's very easy to see the mask and not take into account that there's much more to that person than meets the eye. So when people say, they may say, oh, I can't do that, or there may be some excuse for doing something, or they'll say they'll do it and then they don't. There is often a big struggle going on somewhere. And that's where somebody does not feel worthy of doing what we're asking them to do, whether it's a PDT person going out and setting up a class or promoting themselves as a dog trainer when that's really what they would love to do, or somebody with a pet dog being asked to do some training with it, and whether they can deliver on that training, whether they believe in themselves enough to be able to deliver on that training. So imposter syndrome is, for some people, a real struggle. And I think it's important for all of us to really remember that there's more to a person than what meets the eye, basically.
And I think you probably know more than most, not only due to how it started for you, and massive acknowledgement for that. Like you said, you don't want to become like a victim of that or have sympathy necessarily for that, but actually acknowledging that, I think, is important and empowering and impactful all in its own right. And then secondly, through your journey as a therapist, you will have even more appreciation, understanding, empathy. I said to Matt the other day, I said, my dad obviously being poorly, I said, I find it very hard to think of someone else in a bad situation. Like, it hurts when you feel someone else's situation. You can feel it, like you feel it deeply, and you understand the situation that they're in, or you understand the pain that they're in, or you understand how uncomfortable that is and can be, and you're feeling it. And you and he said that is empathy, that is empathetic, that's what it's about, right? Like, you can empathize and you put yourself in those shoes, and that is how empathy is. And I suppose what would be worth saying here would be, you've been through imposter syndrome. I've certainly had moments of imposter syndrome and lots of them. What would be some of our hacks or help or ladder rung sort of pathways of how we can have a little impact on it, even if it's a small one? What sort of things can we do?
There's a lot of cliches around what we can do, like always take the next step. That I do believe, and I've had to manage this in myself. I have to understand what small things I am capable of doing. What can I do? So although we might have a long-term plan or a dream or whatever, or we might have a task that we want to get done, but we just can't get it done because our insecurities are holding us back, then I always, with myself, step back and say, what can I do right now? What can I do? And if I do that, then I'll stop and then say that, then I'll ask myself the question again, now what can I do? So I break it down into manageable pieces for where I'm at the time. Because it's very easy to overface yourself.
Yeah,
To sort of
brilliant.
think, this is too big, I can't do it, so I don't do anything.
Absolutely.
So I make it into small things that I feel that I can do. And then you feel better about yourself because you've done the small thing. And so then you can do another small thing. So that's how I manage it in myself when I get paralyzed by fear and belief that I can't do something.
Well, that's a really, really nice one. And I think controlling the controllable would be my next one. So it kind of leads on from what you've just said. What can I do and what can I control or look after or take care of or manage or do? Whereas sometimes we're too busy focusing on what you can't do. Like for me, with my dad's situation, you want to take it away, you want to stop it. You're going, why him, or why is that happening, or like you those are things you can't control.
No,
These are things you can't control, and the more you get upset about the things you can't control, you can't have any impact on the things you can't control. So actually, what can you impact, or what can you do? Or for me, one of the little things that helped, and mine slightly different to imposter syndrome, but a form of, I suppose, shock or grief or pain or all of the things that kind of come with that. What can I do? Okay, I can get some nice homemade lovely meals and help them to have something nice in their day. Or what can I do to alleviate the situation? And the same with imposter syndrome. What can I do? What am I able to do? What is possible? And I think that's really great to consider sometimes what is possible. What can I do? And like you said, what is the step, or what is the small step, or what is the next step? All of those things matter, don't they?
They do. And also to not beat yourself up for what you can't do. So, like you can't change your dad's situation, although you would want to. There's things that when we're trying, any task in life, we go, I can't do that. But not to feel bad about yourself because of it. That's where a lot of people go when they feel helpless or inadequate. They then start blaming themselves for that, and that just creates their own internal misery, and maybe misery for people around them. So, it's about self-care and looking after yourself and being kind to yourself, because it's very easy when things in your mind prevent you from doing things that you can get quite harsh on yourself, and that's never the way forward, really.
Mega learning, like huge learning. I think one of the others for me with imposter syndrome would be, and I think this is a really big one, working out carefully who your circle is. Because in some circles, if you say I can't do this and I can't do that, they back that up. And they'll reaffirm that for you, and they'll continue to reaffirm that. And I'm thinking, like, I've been at big events, I've won at Crufts, I've won at Olympia, I've won at all different events, I've won at championships, I've won at world events, I've like done lots of different cool things. But if you hang out with people that find the negative or find the bad, or who you associate with, is very important in imposter syndrome. And I like to be with someone else that cheers me on. So I can tell you now, I want to see you at Crufts and I want to be there cheering you on, Linda. And especially if it's my because that dog and me, I just say she is my little dream. I just adore her. And for me, I want to see you there and I want to be cheering you. And I am your circle, because I know that I wholeheartedly, there's not one part of me that doesn't see that happening, and I can cheer that on really authentically. And I think that we need people around us that are our cheerleaders, that are going to pat us on the back, who are there to prop us up a bit when we're maybe not feeling so great. And when we're getting that moment of imposter syndrome, that person who can almost reframe it a little for us, or reframe it is the right word. They can reframe it, or they can switch it up, or they can change it up, or they can edit it in some way for us. But they definitely don't let us go too far down that route. They're ready to help us out of that hole.
And the world that I'm in, which is the obedience world, is completely focused on the negative. It's all about what went wrong. What did you lose marks for?
It's always about loss of marks, isn't it?
Absolutely. So whenever you competed, then that's the first thing people want to know. Not how many marks did you get, how many marks did you lose, and what did you lose them for?
It's framed on the negative before you even start.
All the time. And it's, you're right. You have to make sure that you know which people are going to be in your corner and see the good stuff, because I do it for myself. I was really pleased with what my dogs did on Sunday when I was at the show. I come out and I go, that went really well. I come home, hubby said, how's it go? It was a really good day. Yes, there were some bits that weren't perfect, but that's information for me to work on in training, not for me to go, oh, well, she did this wrong or that went wrong. But that is how the obedience world works. It's what went wrong, what you got wrong, how many marks you lost. And that's really quite draining at times.
And I completely agree. I think it's important, and that probably is my next imposter syndrome sort of tip would be, who's your radiator? Who's your radiator? So when you said about drain, I think there's like drain pipes and radiators, and there are certain radiators. You're a radiator. The lovely Amanda, who I was speaking to last, is a radiator. I've got lovely radiators in my life, and then I've also got drain pipes. I want less drain pipes, more radiators, and the drain pipes I want to hang out with less, right? Like I want to hang out with them less, and we all know them. And sometimes it's hard because a drain pipe might be your mother, your sister, your father, your brother. It might be someone really close. It might be your husband. It might be someone who's really, really close to you. And so it can be hard to work that out. But I think working out who are your drain pipes and who are your radiators, that would be one of mine.
And the big, always within Absolute Dogs is this question of what were your wins? What were your wins? Give me your wins first, because it is so easy in dog training to get caught up in, this dog's not behaving how I want it to behave, or it's causing me problems, or I'm struggling to teach it what I want to teach it. And we get caught up in everything that's going wrong rather than seeing what's going right.
Brilliant.
And if we look at what's going right, we'll feel better about ourselves and we'll feel better about the dogs.
And there's a lot of it as well. There really is a lot. Now, I remember, a good few years ago, I read something and I kept waking up and I kept thinking, this is too good to be true. Like, all of this is too good to be true. And I read something that basically said, with imposter syndrome, where you might think it's too good to be true, you're not, like, how can this be like happening to you? How can you have success, or whatever it might be? You might have just won an event, or you might have won crafts, or you might have had, I don't know, you've got your first obedience client, or you've got your first dog training client, or you've just started your own business, or too good to be true. And actually believing that it is, believing it's true and living it as truth, rather than almost knocking it before it's happened. Like, when you say it's too good to be true, you're almost looking for something to go wrong.
Absolutely.
You're almost looking for something and this is brilliant. This is a brilliant thing. I remember being on an event and they said to me, look for the color red. And I'm looking around here right now and I'm looking for the color red. And I look behind me and there's kind of a color of orange. And I'm like, yeah, I found it. But it's actually orange. It's not really red. That's orange. Yeah. Or in the background, I'm like, there's a pink color back there. It's not really red, but it's pink. You look for the good, you'll find it. You'll find it in some fashion. Look for the bad, however, and you'll also find it. And so whether you're looking for good or whether you're looking for bad, whatever you're looking for, seek and you shall find. Yeah, whether you're looking for good or you're looking for bad. And so I think it's really important to acknowledge that actually, when you are thinking imposter syndrome, or when you're thinking good or bad even, that actually it matters what you're looking for. It really matters what you're looking for, and you will find good or bad, like, if you're looking for that. So I think it's just being mindful with imposter syndrome, that will happen.
And it's about being aware that your own perception of things colors what you think and how you feel about them. So if your expectation is that things are not good, or you're no good, or it's all going to go wrong, or it's going to fail, or whatever, then that is what you will find. That is what you will find, because we will look for what reinforces our belief system. So if I
we make our
believe,
own truth, don't we? We create the narrative. We create the narrative. So if that is your narrative, I'll find it very hard to change your narrative, because it's your narrative. And you will find all the things that back that narrative up. So if your narrative is, I'm not good enough to be a dog trainer, I shouldn't be a dog trainer, I don't have enough experience to be a dog trainer, I don't know why these people are coming to me as a dog trainer, I don't win this and I haven't done that, then that is what will become the truth.
It is what will become the truth. Absolutely will become the truth. Yes. And I'm a great, but the one thing I'm very strong on is seeing opportunity and taking opportunity. So I really, really trust, we've already mentioned today about the universe, I really trust that things will cross my path if I keep walking in the right direction. Something will cross my path. So I might, like at the moment, they might be looking for another dog. But
I thought you were getting a poodle.
Yeah, that's that. I spoke to somebody at the weekend about Border Collie Poodle cross.
Oh my goodness.
But anyway, I might be, I might not. But I know that opportunity will cross my path. If I'm open to opportunity, it will appear. If I've got my blinkers on and I'm saying, I can't cope, the world's not a nice place and I'm a failure, I will not see the opportunity. I might even trip over it, fall over, pick myself up and walk on, and I've missed an opportunity. Because I'm not looking, I'm not open. I'm not like, what is the universe going to send me?
Yeah, you're not saying to the universe, like, here I am, like, what's out there for me. You're not looking. And if you've got your eyes shut, you're not going to see it.
No, that's right. Absolutely right.
So imposter syndrome, let's round it up. I think it's very, very common. I think it's very common in our dog world in particular. And I think that there are many people who feel inadequate in one way or another. However, we know that doesn't have to be the case, right, Linda?
Absolutely correct.
And Games Club, Pro Dog Trainer, all of the programs at Absolute Dogs. In fact, I know there's a certain event. It's Super Trainer Live 2024. The dates are Friday the 8th to Sunday the 10th of November. It's my birthday. And it's a 10-year anniversary party. It's a 10-year anniversary party. Is Super Trainer good for your mental health, Linda?
It's a phenomenal event, an absolutely phenomenal event, and so positive and uplifting for everybody that takes part. So it's an absolute must in my calendar.
It's
and I think I might be there. I might be there, mightn't I?
You're going to have to be there. You're going to have to be here. You're going to have to be here. So we invite you to Super Trainer. Linda and I personally invite you to Super Trainer. If you haven't already got your tickets, get your tickets down and sorted. It will be an incredible time. Linda, any final wise words on imposter syndrome, or anyone who sat on the fence thinking, may I do this? Should I do that? Could I do that? What might you say to them?
I will say, you stand up, stand tall, and take the step that you can take now, and the next one will follow.
Literally, it's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure chatting to you, Linda. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you come and join us again soon. What do you say?
I certainly hope to.
Yes. Well, that was this episode of Sexier and the Squirrel podcast. Literally, imposter syndrome and so much more. And Linda's gorgeous journey into Absolute Dogs, and us really loving having her here and part of it with our whole team. We love having a part of it. Guys, join us next time, where it's going to be a little bit different. We will see you next time.